The deadly crash, investigators talking just a short time ago after an American helicopter tour goes down, killing everyone on board. The deadly spring storm and tonight the deep freeze now, snow and concern over black ice for drivers. That cold here to stay. The flight attendant just fired after suddenly deploying the emergency chute in Houston, and you'll see it right here. And the passenger who called 911 to warn authorities about his Uber driver.
Side switched the car and then he kept driving.
Passed from dispatcher to dispatcher, not once but 3 times. An hour later, that Uber driver accused of going on a murder spree.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Tuesday night, and let's get right to it. A pivotal night ahead. Wisconsin voters could very well change the course of this race. Donald Trump needs a win if he wants to land the delegates he needs for the nomination. He could still do it, but it would be extremely difficult. His wife Melania back campaigning with him after a bruising few days. Ted Cruz leading going into tonight, and this evening the first major sign of what could come. In the exit polls already, 43% excited or optimistic about the idea of Donald Trump, but more than half of Republican voters, 55%, say they would be concerned or scared about what Trump would do if he were elected. What will it mean in this night ahead? ABC's Tom Llamas leads us off now from Wisconsin.
Tonight, Donald Trump asking for Wisconsin votes and playing fortune teller at the same time.
It feels like New Hampshire. I think you're going to have a big turnout. You're going to have a great surprise today.
And Trump now unveiling a surprise of his own, finally disclosing how he plans to convince Mexico to pay for that wall.
I will build a great wall. The wall is going to go up, and it's going to go up fast. That sucker could be 40 feet, 50. Nobody's going over it with a truck. The wall just got 10 feet higher. Build that wall. Build that wall. Who's going to pay for the wall?
Today, the Trump campaign saying that until Mexico agrees to pay up, the Trump administration would block undocumented immigrants from sending money home to their families in Mexico, potentially crippling the Mexican economy. To avoid that fate, quote, it's an easy decision for Mexico. Make a one-time payment of $5 to $10 billion to build that wall.
The wall is a fraction of the kind of money in many different ways that Mexico takes in from the United States.
But tonight, President Obama mocking the Trump plan.
The notion that we're going to track every Western Union, bit of money that's being sent to Mexico, good luck with that.
Trump's new plan comes as he tries to regain momentum after a rough patch. With him in Wisconsin, wife Melania, taking the mic for her first prepared speech.
No matter who you are, a man or a woman, he treats everyone equal.
Mrs. Trump trying to help her husband with female voters after a series of mistakes, including his retweet of this unflattering image of Ted Cruz's wife.
I said stay away from, retweets.
Tonight, Trump will find out if his stumbles are helping Senator Ted Cruz.
I think the entire country is looking at the state of Wisconsin.
Already, Trump allies are preparing for a war at the convention. Longtime Trump confidant Roger Stone, a master of the dark arts of campaigns, now threatening delegates who may turn on Trump.
We will disclose the hotels and the room numbers of those delegates who are directly involved in the steal. We urge you to visit their hotel and find them.
That comment making waves today. Tom, live with us from Milwaukee, where Cruz supporters hope to celebrate tonight. And Tom, the bottom line here, if Donald Trump loses in Wisconsin tonight, that significantly increases the chances of a contested convention?
That's right, David. A Trump loss tonight could register as his biggest setback yet in his push to clinch the nomination. Cruz no doubt would fight till every vote is counted, which would lead to a showdown at the convention. David?
Tom Llamas leading us off again tonight. Tom, thank you. And to the Democratic side this evening and the all-out battle underway. Bernie Sanders smiling, telling voters if he wins Wisconsin and then the New York primary next, he's going to win this nomination. But Hillary Clinton staying back in New York, running the clock, fighting for a win where she was once senator. And tonight, what Wisconsin voters are already saying, 55% of Democrats feel Hillary Clinton has a better chance to defeat Donald Trump. 42% say Sanders does. But then the vast majority say Sanders is more honest, more trustworthy. ABC's Cecilia Vega with the challenge Clinton issued late today to Donald Trump, saying he should, quote, get out of one of his towers and walk the streets of New York.
Tonight, Hillary Clinton hundreds of miles from Wisconsin, ignoring the primary there, her sights set on New York and Donald Trump.
I wish he'd get out of one of his towers and actually walk the streets and spend time with the people of this city. Because peddling prejudice and paranoia is not the New York way.
If Clinton loses Wisconsin, it would mean she's lost 6 of the last 7 contests. But well ahead in delegates, she's focused on trashing Trump, today joining the women of The View.
I just don't understand what he thinks is the role of somebody running for president. I don't think it is to scapegoat people, divide people.
But Clinton's potential Wisconsin defeat is a chance for Bernie Sanders to showcase his staying power.
Thank you all.
Sanders hoping a win tonight will give him momentum heading into New York. But today, a potential stumbling block. In an interview today with the New York Daily News, the senator who has made breaking up the big banks a central part of his campaign.
We are going to break them up. What we must do is break them up. I think it is time to break them up.
Struggled when asked exactly how he would do it. His answer vague, saying only that he would need, quote, legislation passed. And while Sanders often talks about prosecuting executives involved in the financial crisis, he was unable to name which laws would apply.
And Cecilia Vega with us live from Brooklyn tonight, and Hillary Clinton all over upstate New York this week, Syracuse, Albany, then campaigning in New York City today. It seems pretty clear, Cecilia, where she's focusing her energy.
That's right, David. Right here, New York. Even her husband said today while campaigning in the state that this race psychologically is coming down to New York, but Wisconsin first. And in a sign of what could come, David, her campaign does not have a victory party planned for tonight.
All right, the view of Manhattan there behind Cecilia, coming to us from Brooklyn. Thank you. Let's get right to John Carl. Some very telling numbers coming in already that could affect Donald Trump tonight. How important, first of all, experience to these Republican voters?
Well, this has been a campaign dominated by Republican voters who want an outsider and don't care that much about experience. But take a look at Wisconsin. 48% say they want an outsider, but almost as many, 46%, are saying political experience. That's not good for Donald Trump.
And listen, John, you and I every single night here talk about the idea of a contested convention, but voters weighing in on this notion of a possible fight brewing.
Yeah, and Wisconsin voters don't like the idea of a contested convention. Take a look at this. 55% are saying 56% saying that the person who has the most votes should win, only 42% saying let the delegates decide at a contested convention. Of course, that's the only way Cruz wins.
All right, John Carl will be with us all night long as the results come in. John, thank you. In the meantime, we're going to turn to the other headlines this evening. First from Tennessee, investigators on the scene tonight talking to reporters just a short time ago after a popular American tourist helicopter went down, killing everyone on board. That is time-lapse video from a tower camera, the black smoke going up there as the aircraft hits the ground. ABC's Gio Benitez on the hunt for answers tonight.
Tonight, new details in that tragedy at the world-famous Great Smoky Mountains. A sightseeing helicopter filled with tourists taking in the beautiful scenery, crashing Monday afternoon, killing 4 passengers and the pilot.
The entire helicopter is extremely fragmented due to consumption from post-crash fire.
Investigators believe the chopper, just 12 minutes into the flight, somehow made contact with the top of a ridge on the side of the mountain, catching fire before crashing at the foot.
We heard a second explosion. Then we saw the pilot roll out.
The helicopter, built in 1977, part of many daily air tours of the Great Smoky Mountains. The pilot logging more than 500 hours flying just last year. The crash making so many think of this dramatic video of a chopper crashing in Hawaiian waters at Pearl Harbor just this past February. A 16-year-old boy died.
And David, investigators are checking radar data. They're looking at weather conditions and they're interviewing witnesses. But that chopper did not have a black box or a voice recorder. It could be a year before they know exactly what happened. David?
Gio, thank you. We're going to turn next to the brutal cold moving in after that deadly spring storm. Concern tonight over icy driving from the Great Lakes all the way to New England. Images of trees coming down, sending this truck airborne in New Jersey. And tonight, record snowfall in parts of New England to start their week. Traffic at a standstill right there at I-95 in Connecticut. While in the south and the west, red flag warnings across 8 states at this hour. Meteorologist Rob Marciano tracking it all. He's at the wall tonight. Rob?
David, another cold night with sub-freezing temperatures all the way down into the mid-Atlantic and across the snow zone where we saw a little bit of melting today. It's going to be slick again in the morning, 18 degrees for a morning low in Syracuse. Some warming out ahead of our next system, a pretty weak one with thunderstorms. The back side of it's going to be cold again, so a reinforcing shot, and the winds are going to continue across the fire zone of the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles here. Red flag warnings remain up, and the heat building across the West Coast. Look at these numbers. Some records expected to fall in California, 97 degrees tomorrow in Palm Springs. David?
Rob Marciano tonight. Rob, thanks. And we're already seeing the power of those wildfires you mentioned up close. Look at this tonight.
He needs to get out.
A narrow escape late today caught on camera. A volunteer firefighter in Woodward County, Oklahoma, using a tractor to build a fire line around a home. The tractor getting stuck in a ditch. That volunteer firefighter fleeing the tractor in time. Some evacuations are underway already across parts of Oklahoma at this hour. Next to a United Airlines flight attendant fired today after suddenly deploying the emergency slide on a passenger jet in Houston, throwing out her bag and then sliding down herself. ABC's David Curley with the images.
Tonight, the flight attendant you see jump down that emergency slide no longer works at United Airlines. In this video, first obtained by KPRC Channel 2 in Houston, you can see the attendant throw out her bag and then slide. And this was no emergency. The jet had just reached the gate, and the flight attendant, according to the airline, intentionally deployed the slide for a fast exit and the loss of her job. So, as passengers exited, both doors were open.
I was shocked. I was surprised that that had happened, and, I had no clue.
Many passengers didn't realize it either because someone was having a medical problem in the back of the plane. This is not the first time. Remember that JetBlue pilot who did something similar, saying he'd had it, grabbing a couple of beers and hitting the slide? He did a year of probation and paid restitution. Still no word tonight why the flight attendant intentionally popped that chute. She, too, could face criminal charges. David?
David Curley tonight, thanks. Now to Alabama this evening and the new move to impeach the governor accused of an affair with an aide. She has already stepped down. ABC's Steve Osinsami with the calls for impeachment and questions over disposable cell phones allegedly purchased by the governor.
Tonight, even some of the governor's longtime supporters are serious about throwing him out of office.
It's time to put aside his selfishness and step down.
The feeling is bipartisan. They're accusing Alabama Governor Robert Bentley of obstructing justice so he could hide his alleged affair with a political aide.
This is the only thing we know for sure today, is that nothing that the governor has said is true.
His critics accuse him of using disposable cell phones paid by campaign funds to hide the proof. The governor, who has always bragged about his traditional family values, is heard talking sexy with a woman who wasn't his wife.
You know what? When I stand behind you and I put my arms around you and pull you in real close, hey, I love that too.
Bentley denies having an affair and has apologized for the improper phone call, but tonight says he's not leaving, saying there are no grounds for impeachment. Alabama lawmakers are now essentially giving their governor 1 week to leave on his own, or they'll vote to make him. David?
Steve Osinsami with us again tonight. Thanks, Steve. And we're going to turn next year to that miracle finish last night. 2 shots over the course of 7 seconds, and 2 brothers playing for opposite teams. Here's ABC's Jesse Palmer.
Watch how just 7 seconds can change everything. It's the end of the championship game. Villanova up by 3. When UNC's Marcus Page gets the ball, off balance, he sinks it, tying the game. A timeout called. 4.7 seconds to go. It's inside the Villanova huddle where history is made. The Wildcats coach calls one of the team's classic plays, Nova. For the faithful, those 4.7 seconds feel like a lifetime. Now it's time. A pass to Chris Jenkins, who steps up and lets it fly. And back on campus, 4,800 students watching, hoping, suddenly going wild. 7 seconds to make history.
This is incredible. We'd all be talking about the first shot had it not been for the second shot. We also reported here about the 2 brothers squaring off against each other last night, and one of them knew this was coming.
UNC guard Nate Britt said after the game, watching that play unfold,